even Caleb Williams said it was not great. One of the things that I appreciated about him this week is when Courtney asked him what's been challenging or what's come easy for you. And he could have at that point picked something that has been easy for him and said, it's been easy to do X, Y, and Z. And I loved that he said, look, this is the NFL. Like, I'm learning something new every single day. Everything is a first for me, but we're going to be okay. And I thought that was refreshing because not a lot of quarterbacks would admit that it is as challenging as it is and that he is learning on the job. And I think he sees that he can make the improvements. He's already making some of them. And that's reason to believe that they will be okay offensively.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. And it's going to be I don't think he'll have as many rookie hiccups as most rookies just because of the supporting cast around him. Like, a lot of times, he'll be bailed out at times. He'll get bailed out. His throw will be a little bit off here, but you've got DJ Moore, or you've got Keenan Allen, or Rome Odunze, or you've got the safety blanket of he'll throw an interception, but you've got a turnover creating defense on the other side that'll get it right back for him. He's going to have his fair share of mistakes over the course of his rookie season, but this is the benefit of being around a supporting cast like this one, is that the mistakes can be quickly patched up because of the defense or because of the skills that he has at the wide receiver or just overall pass catchers on the roster.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And as you were saying, this is a different situation than a number one draft pick has ever come into, not only because of the player, but just because of the byproduct of the fact that the Bears didn't finish dead last, right? Like, they have more talent there on both sides of the ball. It was fun to see the defense. I love that they were jawing at each other. I love that it was intense for minicamp. I do remember years, though, Tyler, where we would be with the Bears and think they are cruising right along, man. They look like a really good team. And then they'd have one of those joint practices, and we'd suddenly look at each other and wonder if the Bears were playing the same game. I don't think that will happen against the Bengals this year. I don't think we'll get to that joint practice and feel like they're on two different planes. But we still don't know. I mean, I feel like it's easy to get caught up in the excitement right now without it being tangibly real. I think that's why when Williams was so honest about the fact that he's learning something new and even having patience with himself, I think that was nice to hear, because it isn't a finished product yet. Yes, it's fine to get excited, but like, nothing's happened yet. Let's everybody just go with this, stay with the process, and trust him that he's competitive enough. As we've learned, he's competitive enough to not stop until he wins. And that's his MO. You see it it's been at every stage of his life.
Right. And he's got this switch, this gear. It just, everything about him feels different, not just from Bears quarterbacks, but really from rookie quarterbacks in general, of what we've seen as of late. He just seems like, and I'd imagine a good portion of it has to do with the fact that he is one of these NIL era quarterbacks, but the maturity that he has as hopping into a league where he's already got millions in the bank, and he's just this different breed of maturity that you don't see out of 21, 22-year-old kids. And the way that he's gone about everything in his life to build up to this moment. I mean, he was effectively put in a lab to be a quarterback from a very young age. And this is what he wanted to do. And it's the path that his father, Carl, put him on. And now it's just, you got to see it play out. And it's exciting because everything about it feels different this time. I don't know what it is, but everything feels different.
Yeah, and I don't think that's us just getting caught up in wanting it so badly. I think it does feel different. Even the vibe around House Hall feels different. The way everybody's walking around feels different. And even the conversations that they have about going hard at a rookie QB or facing a top five defense and facing an improved offense that has Keenan Allen and of course DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, that challenging each other, and how that's going to make them all better. Like, it's all going to pay off on the other side, that they've had to go against such a talented unit on both sides of the ball. And that is reason to be excited. And there is energy around it, and people want to see it. They want to see what Williams is going to do, and we can't film all of it. But what you were saying about that, when he threw an interception, then he came right back and he hit Velus Jones Jr., right? And that was a moment I felt like that as a rookie, he was able to turn the page really quickly. We've seen so much of that mental game really challenge the last couple of top draft pick quarterbacks that the Bears have had, and they would not be able to get out of their own way. And like you said, Caleb's been made for this, and he knows that. And I know that Justin Fields said the same thing, but the foundation that Caleb Williams has behind him is so far different. And I remember when I asked more than one person about this, because the NIL athlete is so new to becoming professionals. He's the first rookie to walk in there as a millionaire already. And I also think that that is a benefit in some capacities, because you don't have to wonder what's he going to do with this attention and fame and money that he suddenly stumbles into, because he's already had it. So you take that aspect away from it, and now he really can just focus on the football and what he needs to learn in this new role as QB1 for the Bears. And when he walks off the field, Tyler, every single time he walks off the field, he's talking to a coach, he's talking to a lineman, he's talking to the other quarterbacks. He's constantly in conversation, like learning and absorbing, as Eberflus described it. You can see it when you're standing there watching him. You can see him doing that, and he's just stayed the same. It's been really refreshing to watch.
Right. It's a maturity level, and just the way that I mean, think about every allegation that was thrown out about him in the lead up to the draft process. None of that looks like it's true. And I think Ryan Poles has even sort of addressed it. Like, if he is this person that was that was rumored to be, then this guy must be the world's biggest psychopath, because he has duped literally everybody in his life.
Everybody. And his teammates, how much they loved him and spoke his praises. And that was even a mixed message that we got during his time at USC. I mean, they were still saying that he wasn't this great locker room guy. And that is so different than what we've seen in this transition to the pros. And I love his competitiveness. I love his naturalness. I really enjoy all of it. And I do love the way the defense looks right now. I really do. And I think Matt Eberflus deserves a lot of credit for that. You think about just a year ago, what we were talking about with the defense, and it was, Alan Williams was still here. And then in week 2, he's gone, and Eberflus navigated all of that and made them into a unit that is to be feared and is being praised for the next step that they can take. And it's impressive. It's impressive that a coach that came in and has gone through so many ups and downs and lost 14 straight and all of that stuff has the attention of not only the defense, but the entire team. I've been very impressed with that, because I wasn't sure that was going to happen when he got hired. And they love playing for him. They love being in his locker room, and they care about each other. It's like all the things that he talked about have changed the culture around the team and the buzz. It's true.
Right. The defense and the way that it has turned ever since Eberflus took over play calling, and the addition of Montez Sweat, all of it put together. And it's a tough season last year for Eberflus with all the changing pieces. But I mean, at the same time, he is the one that brought all of those guys in. So you do have to deal with that and wear that as well as the head coach of the program. But I think that this is going to be a very telling year for Eberflus, and I feel like the Bears are sort of in a tough spot in terms of how to evaluate Eberflus this year, because of the fact that this roster is easily a 9-10 plus win roster. That's what they have in place right now. But if they just meet the expectation, is that good enough to retain Matt Eberflus longer than this season?
Would you describe him as being one of the coaches on the hot seat?
I wouldn't say his seat is hot, but it's one worth monitoring. Because I think that if you think about everything that he's done, it feels like it's been underwhelming each year. Obviously, going 3-14, even though there was no expectation, I don't think people thought that was 3-14 bad, and literally the worst team in all of football. Bad. Last year, 7-10, and even though it ended with some positive momentum, there were some expectations or thoughts out there that this team could get over the hump and start to make a little bit of noise. But at the end of the day, this team has not gone over its Vegas win total in either season under Matt Eberflus. And if you're going to use that as the bar here, and I look at this year, if this team wins 9 games, it's going to feel like there's probably still some meat left on the bone, although I don't know if that's going to – it's tough to say. Like, I look at Eberflus as, yeah, numerically going from 3 to 7 to 9 wins is hypothetically improvement, but 9 wins with this roster, it would make you feel a little bit uneasy about the head coach, I think.
Well, the roster is improved, but I think we both can admit it's not a finished product. They still need to address another edge rusher. They still need to make sure that that offensive line is solidified. I know that at this point, Ryan Bates has been playing center, but in you know, Eberflus can say it's a competition all that he wants. Like, they have to make sure that that offensive line is solidified in front of Caleb Williams, and there's still question marks around that. So the roster is improved. It's not perfect. I don't know that I'd be you're right. It is an improvement. I think that when they look at Matt Eberflus, though, when Ryan Poles evaluates him, I'm not sure about Kevin Warren. I'm sure he thinks the same way, though, that the way that he's brought the change to the culture around there, I think that weighs into how they feel about him. And that's why I feel like I don't think his seat is even warm at this point. I think he is, because he's like aligned with Poles as much as he has, that they're moving forward together and feeling like they're in a good spot. Yeah. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but that if they start 1-5, then maybe things will feel differently. But I feel like they are all so much so on the same page and so much so moving in the right direction, the direction that they want to go in, that they're not going to, they wouldn't make a change like that.
I think one of the other things too is, think about the last generational prospect that we saw in the NFL, and that, to me, from the quarterback position, was Trevor Lawrence. You cannot transcend past bad coaching in year one. When he had Urban Meyer, I know you love your Buckeyes, but
I do.
But when he had Urban Meyer, he could not transcend past that. Right. There's no magic elixir that moves you past. Now, he has gotten better since that, but it feels like if you ask Jaguars fans, is Trevor Lawrence where you thought he'd be right now? I bet a good portion of them would feel a little underwhelmed with where he is. Not to say that he's not a good quarterback, because I think he is a pretty good quarterback. And also the fact that I think that he has plenty of, like, this could be a launching pad year for him as well. All of that put together, but the results so far are underwhelming, and I think a lot of it was stunted because of that year one where he got no development. He basically got thrown to the wolves. Now, I don't think that's the situation, because I think the Bears roster is much better, and I do think that the coaching staff is much better than what Urban Meyer did, because we saw the culture of toxicity that existed there. I don't think there's a culture of toxicity with the Bears right now, but you can't get past a bad coach. And if Eberflus truly is a bad coach, then that's going to set this thing back. And you may look at this as, I mean, it's one of the questions that the Jaguars are contemplating right now is, what does a contract extension look like for Trevor Lawrence?
Right.
And you get left in limbo.
Yeah. And they don't want that. And I don't want, I mean, obviously we know that Caleb is learning and Shane Waldron is new, and they're like, and he's being praised for his ability to develop a quarterback. And so hopefully that's what they're able to do. But you don't want someone with Caleb Williams' talent having to have a second straight year of everything being new again, right? I think that they want to give him that solid foundation underneath him from year one to know that he has that stability with the Bears. So I don't think I'd consider Eberflus. I appreciate what you say. It's worth monitoring. And I think that we will. Depending on the start, I think that will affect a lot of things. But one would have thought an 0-4 start after you lose 10 straight would have made that seat rather hot. And I don't think that it was. So we'll see. 1 year to the next.